Okay, today what we are going to be going over is continuing with our standard 6 NS5, converting between fractions, decimals, and percents. So today we're just going to be looking at percents and fractions, changing from a percent to a fraction and changing from a fraction to a percent. So for your notes today, your heading would just be percents and fractions. You're going to take these notes and then you will have two different assignments you're going to do today. One is you will upload a picture of your notes to a Canvas assignment, and then you're going to have a book assignment that you are doing in Canvas also. Then once you finish those two things, you will work on your IXL F2 and F3, and then that will be it for today. So first thing we're going to look at today is how to write a percent as a fraction. And these, again, you're going to write in your notebook. You can pause the video if you need to, and then you will end up taking a picture of your notes and uploading those to the Canvas assignment. So first thing we need to understand is that when we're dealing with percents, and I'm going to use the percent symbol, that way we don't have to write it out. Percents are out of 100. So to write a fraction, or to write a percent as a fraction, all you have to do is, the first thing, the percent number is going to be your numerator of your fraction. So you will write the percent number as your top number of your fraction. Which is also your numerator. Then the second thing you have to do is you use 100 as your denominator. And again, you can pause the video if you need to, okay? So to change a percent to a fraction, the percent number becomes your numerator, and then since percents are out of 100, you just use 100 as your denominator, okay? So to just look at a few examples, okay? If I wanted to write 2% as a fraction, the 2 is my numerator, and since percents are out of 100, 100 is my fraction, or my denominator, okay? Another example, if I wanted to write 80% as a fraction, you take the percent number, 80, that's your numerator. Your denominator is 100 because percents are out of 100. Another example, if If I wanted to write 33% as a fraction, my percent number is my numerator, so 33. My denominator is 100 because percents are out of 100. Okay, so writing a percent as a fraction is actually pretty simple because all you're doing is taking the percent number, that becomes your numerator. Denominator is always 100 because percents are out of 100. Okay, now let's say for some reason something was over 100%. So let's say we had 125% on something. You still do this the same way, okay? Your percent number becomes your numerator, and it's out of 100. So changing a percent to a fraction is actually pretty simple because you're just looking at that percent number becoming your numerator, 100 being your denominator. Okay? So now we're going to switch it up just a tad, and we're going to look at writing a fraction as a percent. So we're going to kind of go the opposite way. So writing fractions as percents. Okay, and we've got 2 steps for that. Now, first step we already learned. Okay, we did this on Wednesday and Thursday. So the very first thing you're going to have to do to change a fraction to a percent is you first need to change it to a decimal. Okay, so you are going to change your fraction to a decimal. By dividing the numerator by the denominator. Okay, so this is what we did yesterday. We're changing the fraction to a decimal, and that's just done by dividing the numerator by the denominator. Then, to get that decimal changed to a percent, all right? So your second step, you're going to change your decimal to a percent. By moving the decimal point two places to the right. Okay, so first you're going to change your fraction to a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. Then you're changing your decimal to a percent simply by moving the decimal point 2 places to the right. Okay, so we'll look at some examples for that. So if I have the fraction 3/10, okay, and I want to change that to a percent. First thing I'm going to have to do is change it to a decimal. Now, this fraction, some of you will be able to just read it and then write it as a decimal. So 3/10. Most of you will know that is written as 3/10. If you weren't sure, take your numerator, divide it by your denominator. This is what we did yesterday. So we're taking our fraction and changing it to a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. 3 divided by 10. 10 doesn't go into 3, so we add a decimal point and a 0. 10 goes into 33 times. Okay, so 3/10 as a decimal is 0.3. Now, to change that to a percent, decimal to a percent, we are moving this decimal point two places, actually to the left. No, you move it 2 places to the right. Okay, so then just like before, we have to fill the space with a 0. So 3/10 as a percent would be 30%. Okay. If we look at another one, if I want to change 3/20 to a percent, first thing you're going to have to do is change it to a decimal, which is taking 3 and dividing it by 20. Okay, 20 doesn't go into 3, so you're going to have to add a decimal point and some zeros. 20 goes into 30 once, which leaves you with 10. Bring down your 1. 20 goes into 100 5 times. Okay, so now you've changed your fraction to a decimal. That's what we did yesterday on Thursday. So then, to change your decimal to a percent, you are taking your decimal point and moving it 2 places to the right. So 3/20 as a percent would be 15%. Fraction to decimal, divide numerator by denominator. Decimal to percent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right, and you have your percent. Okay. And then one more example. If I want to change 2/5 to a percent, first, fraction to a decimal. So I've got to take my numerator 2, divide it by my denominator 5. 5 doesn't go into 2, so I have to have a decimal point and a 0. 5 goes into 24 times, which is 20. So now I have a decimal. To change my decimal to a percent, I am moving my decimal point 2 places to the right. So I'm going to fill my empty space with a 0. So 2/5 would be 40%. Okay. So your assignment for today is in your textbook, but just like Wednesday and Thursday, you will enter your answers into Canvas. So there is a Canvas assignment linked in the agenda and in assignments in Canvas. You are doing page 105, numbers 1 through 12. So you will take a picture of these notes and upload it to the assignment in Canvas, and then you will work on page 105, numbers 1 through 12. Then check the announcements to find out what else you need to do for today, or look at the agenda for 9:30 today, Friday.